Hello and welcome back. This month we're going to be looking at the hack and slash action adventure game Devil May Cry. It was developed by Capcom and released August 23rd, 2001, with its lead director being Hideki Kamiya, who is also responsible for other games like Okami, Resident Evil 2, and Beautiful Joe, which he all directed during his stay at Capcom. Strangely enough, Devil May Cry was originally meant to be Resident Evil 4. However, Capcom felt that the game was too action-oriented. Kinda strange, considering Resident Evil got a bit more action-oriented as the years went on, but, you know, whatever. This led to the creation of Devil May Cry, which led to 4 sequels directed by Hideaki Itsuno. And no, we're not counting the reboot game DMC Devil May Cry. We'll save that really weird train wreck of a game for another time.
Fuck you!
For now, let's start with this franchise's humble beginnings and have a look at Devil May Cry. First stop, Plot City. Like always, skip here to avoid spoilers. Trust me, this is gonna be a long one. "2,000 years in the past, the human world and the underworld clashed. However, one demon named Sparta stood against the legions of the underworld. By himself, Sparta saved mankind, and quietly faded into nothing more but a legend. In the present day, we meet a mysterious female who is looking for a business called Devil May Cry. Hey look, that's the name of the game. Breaking down the door with her bike, she confronts the owner of the store, a man named Dante. It is found that Dante is one of the sons of the legendary Dark Knight Sparta, who lives by his own after losing his brother and mother to evil entities 20 years in the past. Suspicious of the stranger, Dante engages her in battle, and after finding it out, Dante is about to put an end to the stranger. However, she tells him that her name is Trish, and that she came here looking for Dante's aid in putting an end to the underworld once and for all. Not quite believing her, Trish informs Dante that the Dark Lord Mundus has resurrected 20 years ago and has been quietly preparing a way to open the underworld on Mallet Island. Suspecting Mundus to be the one who put an end to both his brother and mother, the two of them team up and immediately set out for Mallet Island, arriving at what appears to be an abandoned castle, where Trish almost immediately abandons Dante. So much for teamwork, I guess. Once inside the castle, not is all as it seems, as Dante starts to encounter demons. Making his way through puzzles, Dante acquires a new weapon called Alistair from some rather unique means. Seriously, when was the last time a protagonist got stabbed by his new upgrade? However, with the new weapon in hand, Dante explores more of the castle, solving some more puzzles along the way, allowing him to go even further into the depths of the abandoned castle. Eventually, Dante comes across a demon by the name of Phantom, a fiery half-spider, half-scorpion. A Spidorpion? With some taunting by Dante, the two begin to fight, leaving Dante as the victor as Phantom flees from the scene, leaving Dante with the key required to continue on with his journey. With the key in hand, Dante finds himself in what appears to be the master bedroom, where he encounters a mysterious mirror. Upon further inspection, a replica of him steps out, which then transforms into the Dark Knight, Nello Angelo, a rather cocky and arrogant demon who challenges Dante outside. However, before Dante can deliver the final blow, Nello gains the upper hand and almost finishes Dante off. The amulet Dante's mother gave him sends Nello Angelo into a frenzy before he runs off. Now Dante is able to charge up the melancholy soul he acquired earlier. However, he is on a time limit, having to rush very quickly to his destination, as it can run out any second, and never mind. The entrance is literally right there. Why even put a time limit if the goal is 2 feet from the starting line? Well. Continuing through, Dante ends up in his sewers, where he fights off some bug demons and a mini-boss version of some previous enemies. There he acquires another item with a time limit. This time limit, however, it's more of a threat as it drains Dante's life. And to make matters worse, Phantom rears his ugly head in again, and after either defeating or running away from Phantom, Dante returns to the bedroom, opening up a secret path. Going through the secret path, Dante fights Phantom yet again. This time dealing the final blow, finishing him off once and for all. All the while Trish sat on the sidelines observing Dante from a distance. Thanks Trish, so much for teamwork. However, with Phantom out of the way, Dante collects another key item that allows him to cross the castle's drawbridge, taking him to a new area, a coliseum of sorts. And with a little bit of fighting and platforming, Dante increases his arsenal with the newly acquired Efreet weapons. a pair of gauntlets that give Dante a new moveset and element to play with. Although, not all is sunshine and rainbows, as a new threat emerges. A flying demon known as Griffin confronts Dante, but like usual, Dante repels Griffin for the time being, bound to rematch him in the future. With the power of a Efreet, and also after taking out Griffin, Dante can now ignite a torch that opens up a new path, where Dante comes across a misty canyon that he must traverse while following a soul that leads him down the correct path. Exiting out of the canyon, Dante finds himself at another abandoned building where he must offer a chalice to acquire yet another key item for most likely more items that give him access to more items. Are you starting to see a trend here? However, before he can use the chalice, Nello Angelo interrupts Dante and is item collecting for a rematch, but he is dispatched just as quickly as he arrived before fleeing once more. And with Nello Angelo out of the way, Dante goes deep underground, finding a ghost ship in a cave filled with water. He then uses the ghost ship to reach his next destination, but Griffin isn't too fond of that idea and swoops in to try and stop Dante, but to his surprise, Dante fights him back, forcing Griffin to retreat yet again. Now able to reach the captain's quarters for his prize, the ship begins to sink, forcing Dante to navigate the sunken ship to escape. After escaping, Dante begins to slowly make his way out and returns to the place where he originally fought Griffin, which is outside of the Colosseum. To enter though, Dante must prove his might and complete one of 2 rooms for the key item to continue. Or if you're feeling a little special, you could complete both rooms, if you just want to go a little extra. But after completing one, and with the item needed in hand, Dante enters the Colosseum to fight, you guessed it, Griffin once more. However, through the fight, Griffin gets his wings clipped and is begging for his master Mundus to save him. Like a great ruler, Mundus graciously helps Griffin by frying him, officially putting an end to Griffin before Mundus makes his exit. Once all is said and done, Trish arrives again to acknowledge Dante's accomplishment before she, leaves again. Seriously, why do you search for Dante if you're not even going to assist the man every now and then? Like, throw him a bone. That aside, Dante got what he came for and now must head back to the castle to open a path to the demon realm to put an end to Mundus. But, back where he originally fought Phantom, Dante encounters another of Mundus's goons. A slime-like creature called Nightmare, who at first is impervious to all damage unless you hit switches that force him out of his gooey slime form. Seriously though, why would you fight in the same exact room that contains your only weakness? That's seriously stupid. Come on, Nightmare, think a little bit smarter next time. Once they're dealt with, Dante does some teleporting shenanigans with mirrors, paintings, painting mirrors, whatever they are. He arrives in a new area where he must fight a living T-Rex made of bones. And by that I mean he anticlimactically deflects a few fireballs back. A bit lame, but we must make sacrifices sometimes. Afterwards, Dante acquires an item to open up more locked doors. However, behind one of them lies Nello Angelo. But this is his final fight, as he is defeated, for real. Nello Angelo drops an amulet, which is the same amulet that Dante had, that was only given to Dante and his brother Virgil by their mother. And to make matters worse, Mundus and Trish have been working together this entire time. Oh, so that's why you haven't been helping me. Makes sense now. Here, Mundus informs Trish of Virgil's defeat at the hands of Dante. Who would have thought? Nello Angelo is Virgil. Although, not all is doom and gloom, as with Virgil's amulet in hand, both amulets combine into one, giving Dante a new weapon, the legendary sword Sparta. This sword was once wielded by Sparta himself. Seriously, what a narcissist, naming a sword after yourself, like, come on now. With the newfound power in hand, Dante continues pushing on, and, yet again, fights Nightmare. Once dealt with, Dante acquires the key he needed to enter the underworld. Upon entering and traveling through, Dante finds Trish, who's injured, calling to him for help. However, it was a trap, as Nightmare, yet again, emerges to fight Dante and blocks him from helping Trish. Just as Nightmare is on the ropes and Dante is close to finishing him off, Trish gets up and strikes Dante, revealing that she was never on his side. Now Dante is left with a task to deal with Nightmare while Trish provides him covers fire, making the fight a little bit harder than the last time. But as seen before, demons don't stand a chance against Dante and Nightmare goes down with ease. But with its final breaths, Nightmare attacks wildly, causing some of the structure to almost fall on and kill Trish. However, Dante rescues her at the last second. Trish is confused by this action and asks Dante why he would save her life, especially after her betrayal. This is when it is revealed that Trish looks just like Dante's mother, and that is why he agreed to help and even rescue her after her betrayal. However, Dante is still none too pleased with Trish's actions and abandons her while proceeding to move on. But Trish's failing not only angered Dante but also Mundus, as she only had one job and failed to do so, resulting in a punishment. Continuing his mission, and now officially by himself, I mean, to be fair, Trish didn't help us much, Dante eventually encounters Mundus, the Dark Emperor, and it seems that he has captured Trish and he is using her as a hostage. Because of this, Dante is not able to react in time as Mundus fires multiple blasts into him before attempting to finish him off. But at the last moment, Trish sacrifices herself and takes the blast for Dante. I mean, thanks for that, but you couldn't just push me out of the way like I did with the whole pillar about to fall on you? No? Alright. Now, filled with rage, Dante takes the same form as his father and prepares to fight Mundus in aerial combat. In his new form, however, Mundus doesn't stand a chance thanks to attacks at Dante's disposal, which also includes a giant fire dragon for some reason. Now with Mundus's wings clipped, the fight now takes place on the ground, and eventually, through combat, Mundus is defeated and his grand plans to free the demonic realm are put to an end. And now transported back from the battlefield, Dante finds Trish's body. In a rather sad scene, he lays Trish to rest with the amulets from his mother and his father's sword. Although the scene can be ruined slightly with one of the cheesiest and most awkward line deliveries in all of video game history.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
But we don't have long to mourn as the island is going to be destroyed in 5 minutes. Convenient that we know. So Dante must rush out and escape with his life. But the world has other plans for Dante, as a structural collapse brings Dante down to the sewers where it's revealed Mundus is still alive. This time, however, he's in his true form, which turns out to be too strong for Dante alone. But in the nick of time, Trish revived thanks to, I guess Dante's magical tears, arrives on the scene and lends Dante her power. With the combined strength of Dante and Trish, Mundus is finished off. In the end though, it is too late as all exit points are blocked off and they cannot escape. But, as luck would have it, the biplane seen earlier in the mansion falls through the roof. In a very dramatic escape, the two of them fly off into the sunset, leaving Mallet Island behind for good. Having nowhere to go, Dante invites Trish to work with him as newly named business Devil Never Cry, where the two will hunt down and finish off all the remaining demons in the world. Now with that giant plot dump out of the way, I will say right now, Devil May Cry's story may not be the most grand in the world, but after all these years, I believe it holds up relatively well. If you can look past some of the cheesiness and awkward voice delivery at some points, but with that out of the way, next stop, gameplay. Now, what about gameplay-wise? Does Devil May Cry hold up to today's standards? Well, for being a 21-year-old game at the time of this recording, let's see how well it does. First off, let's talk about mobility and how it feels to move around. In general, Dante feels pretty responsive in whatever direction you're pointing. It's also very helpful that the game comes with a lock-on button, allowing you to stay always focused on one enemy, and always facing the one enemy. However, at times, the jumping may feel a little clunky, as once Dante starts going, there's no stopping the man, which at certain times may make it harder for new players that aren't quite used to these controls. Combat-wise, however, Devil May Cry does a great job at the basics. Although it isn't even close to the complexity of future Devil May Crys, the combat is very simple, but can feel rewarding when done right. Dante has access to a few melee combos that can be performed with his lightning-fast Alistar or his slow but very powerful Ifrit, that he can switch from at will. Performing hits with these melee weapons help fill the style meter. Longer and more stylish combos, the higher ranking you'll get. You also have a variety of ranged weaponry that's usable, from Dante's signature handguns Ebony and Ivory, to a shotgun, a grenade launcher, a needle gun, and even a demon-made gun called Nightmare-B. No, not that Nightmare. While these weapons aren't the best for building up a combo, they are excellent at maintaining a combo from afar and even extending the amount of options you have while fighting with your melee weapons. Dealing damage and taking damage helps build up Dante's Devil Trigger gauge. When 3 symbols are filled up, you can temporarily enter into a buffed up form that gives access to new moves depending on the melee weapon equipped. It also increases how much damage you do along with a movement speed increase, and on top of that, you even regenerate your health in this state. While not as stylish or elegant as future installments, Devil May Cry still has a nice variety when it comes to combat. Not one weapon is necessarily better than the other, as most of them have their uses in certain situations. And Devil May Cry is also the only Devil May Cry to have underwater combat. And yeah, it's for good reason. It isn't necessarily hard, but more tedious and annoying whenever you come across an underwater section, which, mind you, isn't that many. But the only thing you have to defend yourself is the lousy needle gun that could either easily miss a target or kill them with minimal effort. Besides combat, Devil May Cry has some puzzles for you to solve, partly thanks to this originally being a Resident Evil game. While most puzzles are just simple, deliver item A over to this area to obtain item B to do more deliveries for item C, some are kind of clever, like in this room, where you have to deflect fireballs back at a possessed T-Rex fossil to proceed. And when you're not slaying demons or solving puzzles, there are a few hidden areas called secret missions. Although, good luck finding them if this is your first playthrough. I remember when I first played Devil May Cry, I cleared the game after finding only 2 out of a possible 12 secret missions. Because, yeah, some of these are either hidden in really stupid places like, hey, you know that door you just went through? What if you go through it again? Other times they have you travel 10 rooms back just to interact with one obscure skull on the wall. I'm not joking either, here it is right now. However, these secret missions are highly valuable as they give you useful items called blue orb fragments, which once you collect 4 increase your health. Besides just blue orbs, you also have purple orbs which increase your Devil Trigger gauge, and you also collect red and green orbs from enemies. Red orbs allow you to buy various items and upgrades from the shop, while green orbs just patch you up when you're injured and give you red orbs when you're fully healed. All in all, Devil May Cry is a rather simple and safe game when it comes to gameplay, which isn't bad as it was the perfect stepping stone for what was soon to become a great franchise. Graphics and character design, the one thing people always care about for games. While not the prettiest looking game nowadays, Devil May Cry at least holds up decently, especially on the HD collection version. The environments did meld together as they're very samey, but that issue would luckily be solved in later games. And design-wise, Dante pops out at least, both from appearances and especially personality-wise, while side characters like Trish, Nello Angelo, Phantom, Griffin, and Nightmare all have unique looks that are especially recognizable. And while Mundus didn't show up until the end, both of his forms were pretty unique and distinctive, not too samey compared to most villains in this era. And as long as you don't mind early PlayStation 2 graphics, Devil May Cry isn't as bad or dated looking as most other early PS2 games in my opinion. In general, graphics-wise, Devil May Cry is passable, to me at least. But the most important thing that I believe hack and slash games mainly benefit from is a boisterous and energetic soundtrack that gets you in the mood to unleash carnage and mayhem. And on top of that, Devil May Cry has spookier and atmospheric building songs in between the action-filled combat. And we have composer Masami Ueda, I believe that's how you pronounce it, to thank for the soundtrack. Ueda is also known for working on the Resident Evil game soundtracks Bayonetta and Okami. Some of my personal favorites would probably be Ultraviolet, Flock Off, and Lock and Load. Here are some quick samples of each. All in all, Devil May Cry is a generally safe and good game to start with, especially if you're interested in the series or if you like hack and slash games like Bayonetta or God of War. Although it can't compare with its successors, Devil May Cry was a perfect stepping stone that led to a rather successful series, with hopefully more games to come in the future. I personally may have not grown up with the games, but I was always interested in them, and I tried them out and loved every single one of them. Well, most of them anyways.
Fuck you!
But that will be all for now. I'll see you guys later, and remember, devils never cry. Maybe.